afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. How you guys doing? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about Twitch and Nintendo stock. As you guys know, coming off of Spamgate, YouTube has basically been exposed as being a very important part of Phil's income, which we already knew this. It's just nice to kind of hear Phil finally admit it. But with that being said, and seeing how close he came to losing it, whether by his own hand or by some type of mishap on Google's part, whatever case may be, this further solidifies that he needs to free himself from YouTube and focus more on Twitch, which he's been talking about that for like the last year or so. Now, he feels that his new style of interactive streaming is going to carry the day, which is comedic at best and just unrealistic at worst. If you guys have ever sat through the painstaking process of watching a Phil stream, there's nothing entertaining about it, to be honest. And if anything else, the chat provides more entertainment than he himself, which is not necessarily a good thing, at least not in the long term. We'll have to wait and see on that. As for Nintendo stock, Phil has been one to talk his fair share about Nintendo. He loves Nintendo. He loves it to death. But he shits on Nintendo too, because he can't profit from it, at least not anymore. If he kept his mouth shut with Machinima, he might have been alright, but he had to feel special. You know, he thought his managed partnership, he thought it made him some delicate snowflake, and you're not unique, you're not delicate, you're expendable. And Phil found that out the hard way. In any case, I'm sure Phil's probably asked some type of question about the sudden drop in Nintendo stock, which comes for various of reasons. Their Nintendo E3 conference wasn't terrible, but I mean, there was nothing truly there that I would say that blew me away in particular. I am looking forward to Smash Brothers Infinite, and whatnot. I'm definitely looking forward to that. By far, it's going to be the largest Smash game up to this particular point. I think it's going to be fun, to be honest with you, and I think it's really going to help moving the game forward, as well as there's some third-party games that are going to help continue to push the system moving forward. And with Fortnite finally coming to the console, I think that will also continue to push Nintendo forward. So there's going to be some type of dip before the stock bounces back. It's just going to it's going to happen. Like if, for example, if not H1Z1, but if PUBG ever end up coming to the Switch, you would see a small drop off before it ends up going back up. It's just how it goes. Now the thing is why would anybody ask Phil about stock or bonds or about finances in general? I've never really understood that, being that this is a man who has said in the past that stocks are a scam and he doesn't believe in it, and that's why he never invested. He feels that investing is a scam. It's not like he can control his money himself, so I guess putting the responsibility of making his money grow, giving that responsibility to someone else is unheard of. But Phil is on his last leg begging children for money now. Okay, but that's who you guys want to ask for financial advice. That's who you guys want to go ahead and try to get questions answered about future nest eggs and things of this sort. Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Stuffs, Dspgaming, 100% income from Twitch and Nintendo stock. Should be an interesting video. At least I hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. You guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work.
Alright guys, I'm back, although I'm in pain. So, I use the bathroom, I wash my hands, and I'm drying my hands and I hear a noise in the backyard, so I'm walking into my bedroom to see what's going on in the backyard. It's just the landscaper, by the way. And as I'm walking, I smash my foot into my bed, the bed frame or whatever. So my foot's killing me, right? So I was like, son of a bitch. So I walk back into the office, I go to sit down, I smash my right foot on my joystick. Both of my feet are throbbing. Like, god damn it, 2 bum feet. Ah, okay.
Well, there you go for there you go for those ham hocks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Stuffs, Dspgaming, 100% income from Twitch, Nintendo stock. This video was published by Mr. Stuffs on June 13th. I'm currently recording it on June 14th.
Super Wombat Man asks, do you think I could ever make it to 100% Twitch streaming where I'm fully supporting myself on here? Well, let me give you some perspective, Super Wombat Man, alright? When I started streaming on Twitch again in late 2016, this was probably, no exaggeration, what I was making on Twitch was probably about 1/10 to maybe 1/5 of my income. Very little in perspective. Over the course of the time in the last year that I turned myself into a full-time streamer and I changed my methods up and I became more of an interactive streamer and the like, Twitch now is my biggest source of income. All right. So in a little over a year, because I really started this transition, I'd say around March of 2017. So in just a little over a year, about a year and a quarter, right, I turned Twitch into being roughly, I would say, around 4 times as profitable as it used to be. I've grown the channel for sure. My streams now, on average, get way more viewers than they used to. I've got way more followers. Cheers, subs, and tips are always, pretty decent. Even on a
yeah, but those followers aren't translating into or transitioning into subs though. That's the thing. And all those gifted subs, and that's constantly being flung out each month. It just kind of just shows the desperation of his fan base, and of him too, by the way, but certainly of his fan base to show that Phil is successful despite the fact of him not being successful. But success is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. DSP News.
Low day, typically cheer subs and tips end up being decent. Now, am I near a case where Twitch is 100% of my income? No, I'm not. Okay. The good news is if I can keep it on a positive trend the way that I've had, okay, yes, it could. It could eventually, maybe within, I would think maybe within another year.
Positive meaning give me money. Another year? No. For him to completely make up for what YouTube provides him, he needs 3 years. He might even need 5, but he definitely needs 3. He definitely needs 3. And he would have to completely revamp what he's doing currently. Because what he's doing it's not working. He's stagnant. And if it wasn't for those gifted subs, it gives the illusion of success or of growth that really isn't there. He needs to completely revamp what he's doing. He really has to be interactive. I don't think he knows what that means. He really needs to be entertaining. I don't think he has that in him. And more importantly, he needs to be consistent with what he's doing. And what I mean by that is, when you say something 2 weeks later, it kind of needs to match up. You know what I mean? Like, as I've said before, he's his greatest detractor. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I could name you numerous times that he says something in a video. Like, I'm watching, here, let's put it this way. I'm watching one of Tevin's old videos, right? And Phil says something in that video, and then I'll catch Phil saying something a little bit more recent, and it's like, wait a second, that's not what you originally said. And he's done this numerous times. If you watch Theo's videos too, Theo points it out a lot also. So does Argent. You pay a little bit of attention, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You will catch him slipping literally week by week by week. He can't stay consistent to anything he says. He talks too much. Instead of giving you a solid, straight answer and then just moving on, he has to go ahead and give you a position. He has to go ahead and explain it. He has to go ahead and kind of and flush it all out, which only makes a story a lot more elaborate, a whole lot more nonsense, and more importantly, he can't remember any of it. But that's just my opinion. DSP News.
If we can really keep this going like this, then yes, I think that within I could do it. Because I know exactly what I need for my budget to pay my bills, okay?
Yeah, but do you know what needs to be done to bring more people in? To have people interact with you more. And, by proxy, to give you more positivity, meaning support, meaning money. Do you know what that takes? I'm glad that, at the age of 36, I think he is, at the age of 36, you know how much you need to cover your bills. Long time coming, I'm sure. But do you know what it takes to be entertaining? Do you know what it takes to draw people in and hold an audience? Do you have, I mean, are you a decent enough human being that people would be willing to shell out their hard-earned money to you and not feel like they've been gypped or ripped off in any way? Have you figured that part yet?
And I'm not super far off. Like I said, if I had a little bit more growth here on Twitch, okay, a little bit more, if I could increase my Twitch viewership and Twitch contributions, I don't know, I want to say by maybe a third, okay, I could probably, it would make enough to do everything. It would pay everything. And
now, there's something that I've been working on for a little while, and I'm still continuing to do so. There is a video that I think Kenny or Kevin, or maybe both of them, had posted up recently, talking about Medicare. And I think it was up there with the Ralph retort, and they were talking, and Medicare had thrown out about, you know, hey, what is 2 million views actually equal to financially on YouTube? And I think they agreed on about $2,000. Okay, so think about this for just a minute. I won't hold you guys up too much longer. At one time, a long time ago, Phil was bringing in, about 15 million views a month. 15 million views a month. At current, he's at like 2 million. But at one time, he was pulling in 15. And if 1 million views a month equals to about 1,000, a little more, a little less, you know what I mean? And he was pulling 15 million views at one time. That's a whole lot of money. And that's a whole lot of money to be making for, I don't know, about 3 years, and you didn't save a dime of it. Just food for thought. We'll flush that out in another video.
then I could just say, well, whatever I make on YouTube, I make on YouTube. It's not a concern. If they screw me over, they demonetize my videos, they do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You would still complain about it. You would still complain about it. So let's not act like it doesn't matter, because Phil wants everything. He can't just settle for one thing over another. He wants everything. That's why he keeps complaining about Nintendo and how he's so how he doesn't want to really play their games if he can't profit off of it. But then again, that's your own fault, Phil. You just kept your mouth shut with Machinima, and then eventually started streaming again. You'd been all right. You would have been okay. But we'll work that into my financial report too later on.
Then it will matter, because I'll be making enough just from Twitch to do my basic, pay my basic bill levels and everything, and have my budget. The problem I'm having, sadly, is that I haven't had consistent income for years. And what I mean by that is, okay, looks like I'm going to make this much. Boom, something happens and my income drops. And then I'm like, well, fuck, now I got to find a way to make up for that. What do I do here? Do I do this? Do I do that? Over the years, there's been various things. Adopting Patreon, changing up my content style, right? Remember the year when I focused on KO Gaming? And that worked for the year until YouTube decided to demonetize all the videos on that channel. And then I changed it up again. I said I'll become a live streamer, right? And then, it's like thing after thing after thing just keeps happening. And so I never have consistent income. Every time it looks like I know what I'm making and this is going to be good, this is what I'm going to make, boom, some other ridiculous, horrendous garbage happening. Who would have thunk that after living here for over 3 years, I was going to be told that my tax attorney had done all my taxes wrong, and I was going to owe thousands and thousands of dollars in back taxes to the state, and then I was going to end up owing thousands of dollars to a new tax attorney to fix the issue, a new tax attorney to fix that issue. So, see what I mean? Like, every single time I think that...
And don't forget about federal tax, because, they gave you so much money at the end of last year that it caused your income to go up, so you have to pay more. And don't forget about that property tax either. Shouts out to James, the Lesser Express Lane. But don't forget about that property tax either. That's a pain in the ass too, Phil. Paying what, $4,000 a year? Or is it $8,000 a year? I think, because he has to pay. No, he has to pay $2,000 twice a year. Yeah, that sucks.
Here's my budget.
But remember that too, Phil. Remember that.
Budget. Here's what I need to make. Here's what I'm making. Some crazy shit happens, and it sucks because I would love to tell you that if we could continuously grow the streams, okay, and I grow at this rate, that within, 6 months, I'll be free from the tethers of YouTube, and it won't matter what I make on YouTube. Sadly, that's not the case at all. I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. And it's a nightmare. It really is a nightmare that I really don't know what my future is. It sucks. I would love to tell you guys a better roadmap or a plan, or here's my plans for this and that. I can't even do that, because it seems like every fucking time I've tried, some other shit came to bite me in the ass every time now, and it gets to the point where I get tired of it.
So you're just gonna quit? You're just gonna quit and have these kids pay your bills for the rest of your life because you had, and they weren't even plans, to be honest with you, but whatever. You had a couple of ideas that didn't pan out. That's life. That's life in general. Not everything's going to work out. That doesn't mean you just stop. Because, trust me, the world don't stop for you. Bills don't stop. It doesn't work that way. So when people defend you, Phil, it baffles me a little bit, because why would you back a quitter? I know he talks that underdog shit all he wants. Good for him. Everybody has to have a dream, I guess. But in truth, you're a quitter. That's what you are. And you get propped up just enough that it allows you to slide by. So it doesn't seem like you've just given up. But please believe, as quickly as you've given up games, you've given up on what would be considered some of your mandatory responsibilities as it pertains to life. Hence the reason why you won't get a job. Hence the reason why you can't be a decent human being. Hence the reason why you're constantly backtracking and defending shit that you did years ago, and to the point where you can't even keep up with the shit you're doing now. And yet, people praise you for it. It's amazing. It really is. Riveting. Absolutely riveting.
I'm tired out, and I just want to be here and enjoy games and have fun with you guys on a daily basis. And that's all it's about. But then, here's the next thing. Here's the next drama. Here's the next stress. Boom, boom, boom. It's enough. So I don't know. I can't answer your questions. I know I see Super Bob was asking more questions. But is there a budget? I can't even answer anything. I can't.
You can't tell them that, yes, I have a budget. I'm not saying he has to give the details of the budget, which Phil can't do off the top of his head anyway. But you can't tell these people that, yes, I have a budget. You know what I mean? Yes, I have something in line and whatnot that Cat is helping to contribute to, you know what I mean, to help us get through month after month after month. You couldn't say that. No, Phil can't say that, because then he has to go into detail. And then Phil has to spin it in such a way to where, well, I'm barely making enough, so anything you guys can contribute would really help out, guys. You know what I'm saying? Go straight to my bills. And Phil doesn't feel like going into that dog and pony show right now. Isn't that right, Phil? Because you're afraid that you're going to get exposed. And for Phil, as what his whole life is, to be honest with you, timing is everything. Because, he fails to plan. So he has to kind of rely on that one moment where he can catch people at a very vulnerable situation. So in turn, he can benefit off of it. He can take advantage of it. The more you know.
At a moment's notice, things could fluctuate and things could change. And it seems like most of the time these days now, there was a time, all right, when I could say, okay, the negative things that are happening to me are my fault. I really screwed up. I said something I shouldn't have said, and it was considered too risque, and I get banned from Flip TV, right? Or, I did this or I did that, and it pissed people off.
Oh, don't forget those two bans off Twitch either. Don't forget that. Please don't. But that's okay. I'm here to remind you of that.
And, I get in trouble. That's one thing. That's definitely one thing. It's another thing when YouTube's ad revenue system completely falls out from under them and, everyone's making half as much money as they used to. It's another thing when a tax attorney screws me over for 3 years by taking my money and not doing my taxes properly. You know what I mean? It's another thing when people file false copyright strikes and claims and shit against me. I can't control that stuff. That's stuff completely out of the realm of my control. And the bottom line is, I'm just a guy who's here.
Wait, the false copyright strikes? No, I guess theoretically he couldn't have done anything about that. That is what it is. I mean, you should know all about that, Phil. Aren't you passing that on to people right now? Aren't you Aren't you and your little minions going around taking videos down, flagging shit? Giving people community guideline strikes. Just saying. But anyway, so the false flagging, couldn't have done much about that. The whole thing with YouTube and the ad revenue thing, he couldn't have done much about that, except for, I don't know, saved his money. Something. Saved something. That might have helped. That might have gone a long way. Maybe. So, there's that. And then for the third, he'd have just made excuses about that anyway, so.
You're having fun with you guys on stream every day. I don't care about the drama and shit anymore, and I don't address it. So
Actually, let's bring that back so I can address that properly.
Over for 3 years by taking my money and not doing my taxes properly.
Oh, taxes. There we go. How could I forget? As pertains to taxes, I mean, to be honest, you couldn't have, inquired on exactly how your taxes are being done. No, Phil just wants to throw money at the problem and just walk away and not ask any questions or anything for 3 years. I mean, granted, if the lore stands correct, that person was supposed to be a family friend of his, which means that this guy was more likely a friend of his, his father and his parents. So screwing over their son's taxes would seem a bit out of the realm, yeah? But see, then that just opens up a whole new can of worms too, because he said that they were state taxes, and then he brought up federal, and then he brought up this, and he owes taxes on everything for whatever reason. So, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
You know what I mean? It's another thing when people file false copyright strikes and claims and shit against me. I can't control that stuff. That's stuff completely out of the realm of my control. And the bottom line is, I'm just a guy who's here having fun with you guys on stream every day. I don't care about the drama and shit anymore, and I don't address it. So any negative shit that happens to me in that regard, too, I have nothing to do with it. It's not like, I pissed someone off, and now, Phil said this really inflammatory statement on stream, which pissed people off, so they filed false copyright strikes against him. No, I don't even do that shit anymore. I'm just focusing here on having fun with you guys and playing games.
Anymore? You used to say that you were just being honest. So, and you didn't understand why people were reacting so bad. You used to say that, Howard Stern does it, why can't I do it? Now all of a sudden it's a problem? Now all of a sudden we're fessing up to stuff? Alright. I guess, the more you know.
Games. I don't even do anything that could be considered inflammatory, so you tell me where these people are coming from who try to hurt me.
Really? When you got banned off of Twitch, I'm not sure if it was the first time or the second time, but no, it was the second time actually. Didn't you basically make fun of somebody because of their appearance? Which is against TOS, and it was against TOS, and you did it anyway? Actually, during your E3 conference, weren't you in the chat making jokes that some people would consider somewhat racist, or at least stereotyping in some way, shape, or form? You did that too, yeah? Yeah, okay. Just wondered. See, because I remember someone stating, might have been Tevin, could have been Tevin, where the conversation of a Discord was brought up, right? Which, it's a good thing Phil never jumped into that Discord that his fan made, because that'd have been some real problems with him, especially if you've seen how Discord is being used these days. How it's always been used. It's not exactly... It can be uncomfortable if you run your mouth without thinking. If Phil did have a Discord, or if he was, associated with one, pretty much he'd be screwed. Because you put Phil in a comfortable situation where people are praising him, and he feels like people around him can't hurt him, and he can speak his mind, he's going to show his ass. And people are going to record it, because everybody records everything on Discord. And then he's screwed. He is royally fucked. Royally. And then he'll go back to the pig cult and be like, it didn't happen. They're lying. They must have photoshopped it or something. It never happened. It really never happened. Because that's what Phil does.
You know, I don't get it. It's just really weird, right? So anyway, you know, it is what it is. I don't understand, you know, I don't really understand that kind of methodology. You know, guys know how I don't understand the weird shit. But that being said, guys, you know, I'm here to have fun, and you know, that's all I care about. As long as I keep having fun and, you know, making a living doing it, I'll do this for as long as I can. I really hope. I mean, really, this is my real honest hope, is that maybe by the end of this year, 2018, you know, that's 6 more months. We've got a lot of big game releases coming out. That I will gain enough when it comes to.
That's another thing too. He needs to break. He needs to break this MO of relying on new games. He just needs to stop doing that, because that right there is already played out in itself, especially for him. He needs to. If he's a variety streamer, then that means that there's some versatility to him, and there really isn't, because any older games that he's asked to play, you guys have to pay him to play it. He might as well be Activision. He needs to be able to branch out and broaden his horizons a little more. A lot of people would say for him to go to PC, but he can't run the computer that he has now. Nor can he can't upgrade it, he can't modify it because he doesn't know what he's doing. Which is funny, because I remember him saying he used to be able to build PCs. Huh. Nah, that must have been some detractor lore that's just bullshit. Yeah, of course. He never said that. And then he said he used to play Unreal Tournament also? Nah, that must have been some more detractor lore that's not believable either. Yeah, never mind. But anyway, in any case, he's not PC savvy. He's not tech savvy at all. So he can't go the PC route, not without asking someone else to build him another one. Which is still kind of funny because he can't run the ones that he has, let alone asking someone to build him something else. He's boxed himself in. He's completely dependent on someone else in more ways than one. And he always will be. He always will be. He's talking about breaking himself from the shackles of YouTube. He can't even break himself from the shackles of Swaggins. He's stuck. Just saying.
My following here on Twitch, that hopefully we can get enough consistent contributors and people who just love what I do and enough subscribers that will resubscribe, that yes, I can finally say, you know what, yes, YouTube does exist and I'm going to keep uploading videos to it, but I don't care how much money I make, I don't care who I'm partnered with, I don't care what the ad revenue levels are. You know, it's just, it is what it is, and I make what I make because I'm doing so good on Twitch, I don't have to worry about that, right? I hope and I wish that's the case. But
last time I checked, hoping and wishing doesn't put food on the table. And it doesn't keep the lights on. Just saying.
I don't know if that's going to be the case. It may be that I'm always a slave to YouTube's nonsense. And then, you know, then who knows what's going to happen, right? All right. William, 4442. Cheers, says, Phil, what's your opinion on Nintendo stock dropping sharply after their conference? Why do you think the stock is falling? Why are Nintendo fans attacking people genuinely worried about the future Switch sales? Number one...
Nintendo fans aren't doing anything that Sony or Xbox fans didn't do themselves either. So, let's go ahead and put all that out on the table. 2, as it pertains to stock drops, I've already explained it earlier. I mean, after every E3, there's a drop in stock for just about every company, to be honest. Actually, there is one company in China that owns like a majority of stock in just about every one of those companies that you saw at E3. I might do a video on that, or I'll at least find a soundbite for you. But that was actually a pretty good listen. So there you go on that. I mean, this isn't anything new, to be honest. And for Nintendo, I wouldn't say that they're fanboys and whatnot, or the people who support or their supporters are any more or any less devoted than any other console. To be honest with you, I mean, in truth, devoting yourself to a piece of plastic to where you feel the need to argue for it is just silly in its own right. But hey, what are you gonna do?
I didn't hear about that, and it's funny because I have all the gaming news feeds like on my social media, like Twitter and everything. I get all the gaming news.
Like Rich from Review Tech USA. Interesting.
I didn't hear a single report that Nintendo stock.
Well, no, because Rich actually reads articles. You got to give Rich that much. He actually reads articles. Phil doesn't do that.
Sharply fell. So I don't know if what you're saying is true or not. My
Or he doesn't read all of them anyway.
reaction right now is based solely off of your information you're providing me. So if I say something wrong or stupid, I apologize in advance, guys. I'm basing it off of information I was just told in this cheer. Okay?
Then don't say anything. Don't say anything. Which is another problem Phil has. When a subject that Phil is unfamiliar with or just doesn't know about, instead of him just being like, I'm not sure, or I don't know, or I'll look into it, instead of him just doing that and walking away, he's scared that people will look at him as stupid or ignorant or whatever the case may be, and then he has to try to basically then he'll just take what little information he has, throw what insight that he has to it and an opinion, and then just roll with it. And then he gets mad when he gets called out later. Now, granted, he apologized in advance for it, but in truth, he could just avoid the whole situation and just not say anything. Like, no one's gonna look at you any type of way. At least I wouldn't think so. If you say you don't know, it's not that big of a deal. No one knows everything, and yes, this is theoretically your career, but it's obvious that you're not following Nintendo stock that close. No problem. You don't own any stock anyway, so why would you? You don't know not a damn thing about investing. So why would you be paying attention to Nintendo stock? Why would anybody even ask you about stock? Just saying. The closest thing that any of those people have probably really invested is in you. I shudder to think that they invest more in you than themselves. Yeesh. But I don't know why they would even throw this question at him.
Okay. So if this is true, and if Nintendo stock sharply fell, all right, the reason I would say that happened is because investors looked at this Nintendo conference, right, this Direct Digital, or whatever it's called, Digital Direct Treehouse event, whatever the fuck it is, and they say, now wait a minute, take a look. All the other major game publishers had big events. They had big hoopla around their events. They announced multiple games, right, and even though some of them did better than others, even though some of them had more direct information on the games coming out at this date or this time frame, and others didn't, all right, Nintendo, sadly, just does this digital direct thing. They don't even make an effort to, like, promote their stuff at E3 outside of just a few games that they have there on display. They don't do a big show like everybody else does, okay? And
because a big show is a waste of time. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, there are certain things about E3 that you like and you don't like. For me, I want to go in it and I want to see games and I want to get information. All the extra spectacle aspects of it, I don't need it. Does that mean it's terrible? No. Not all the time. Sometimes it's done pretty well. But some of it just comes across as just, it's obvious it's obvious that companies are trying to fill dead air. It's very obvious. And it's happening more and more frequently as the years go on. A lot of that's unnecessary. It doesn't matter how long a conference is. If it's 2 hours long and you guys only, pulled 40 minutes of video game information and trailers and whatever the case out of it, then what good was it? You know what I mean? Like, all of the glitz and glamour, all that shit, it fades. It fades quickly. Like, I used to kind of enjoy the cringe of having, like, the hosts go up there and try to bounce jokes off each other, which obviously they didn't rehearse, and if they did, they did it poorly. Or just obviously a group of people who just never have spoken in front of a large audience. It's funny to me in, like, almost like a charming sort of way. You know what I mean? It's a type of cringe where it's like, okay, I can let that slide and whatnot, especially if the trailer that they're talking about is good. But when you have people out there throwing these zingers at each other that is not hitting, and you have these these extras coming in trying to hype you up over something, and there's no substance to what they're saying, then what's the point? So having a longer show doesn't mean shit. That's one of the reasons why, to at least some degree, I like Sony's press conference. For the most part, they got straight to the point. Yeah, there was a couple of things that were just like, okay, you're trying to set the mood for this game coming up. I can let that go. Maybe it could have been executed better, but overall, I can probably let that go for the sake of the game. But for the most part, Sony was pretty streamlined. A lot of some of these other ones just stumbled and just kept stumbling. Yee. Riveting, I'm sure.
And what they showed at their digital direct was incredibly underwhelming. The only people who thought it was amazing were Nintendo fanboys. Who, anything they get of Nintendo, immediately Nintendo won E3. If you actually think Nintendo won E3, you really need to reevaluate yourself as any kind of an objective person. Because there is no way.
If you're a fanboy, you're not objective. You're kind of defeating the purpose with that. If you're a fanboy, you're devoted to whatever that is in particular, and that's all you know. That's all you care about. It's called tunnel vision, Phil. So being objective is kind of thrown out the window. It is what it is. I mean, granted though too, you don't know what it's like to be objective either, so it is what that is also. Because if you were getting paid off Nintendo, I guarantee you wouldn't be nearly as harsh as you are. But you're just so mad and butthurt that you can't get over on those Asians that you don't like so much, that it makes you bitter. It's amusing. Your prejudice is downright funny at moments, but at the end of the day, it's kind of just pathetic.
Anyone who watched all of E3 could actively just right mind say that Nintendo won E3. Nintendo announced 2 to 3 smaller release games, and their big game for the year, Smash, basically said, oh, by the way, don't expect a lot of new content in this game because there is none. All we're doing is we're bringing back all the characters that were in the previous games and 2 others, and that's it. Don't even ask us for more content because we really worked our butts off trying to tweak the game for competitive play. And they literally said that in the video, okay? So, you're an investor.
Have you seen how big their competitive scene is? Like, a Smash competitive scene is bigger than most scenes in the FGC. Even though there's still a debate on whether Smash is considered a fighter or a party game. I'm not going to get into that today. But in any case, their scene is huge. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so, if this brings more people in, especially multiple people over the different installments of the game, it's a win-win either which way, to be honest. As for all that extra you were talking about how don't ask for extra for content or whatever because we worked the butts off, I don't remember hearing shit about that. So I don't know where you got that one from, Phil. 2, I wouldn't even expect you. I expect you to play it at least for a little bit and then you just drop it. Which, why would you even buy it? Why would you waste your money on it? Just kind of like when he bought ARMS for the Switch. Why did you do that? Like, you threw money away for that for no reason and got nothing out of it. Your views weren't that great on it anyway. I don't know. He's the one with the business degree, I suppose. DSP News.
All right. And you invested in Nintendo. The Switch sold huge. You had a great year last year, right? People were buying Switches like hotcakes because of Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey and all these great games, right? This year so far has been incredibly lackluster for the Nintendo Switch. They've had almost no high-profile releases whatsoever, anything to speak of. No one's really talking about the Switch right now. We're all wondering what's the next big release. So Tennis comes out next week, and then after...
I'm actually looking forward to that, TBH. I think that's just going to be dope. I'm really, really looking forward to that, to Mario Tennis. That shit looks gangsta. So, I mean, that's just me. That's just my personal opinion.
That, you've got a few kind of meh kind of releases between now and the fall. Unlike last year where we all had Mario Odyssey to look forward to, what's the big release for the Switch for the end of the year? Smash, that's it. And then they do this digital direct, and all they talk about is that there's not a lot of new content in the game because all they did was tweak the game and put in older characters, so don't ask for new content. And what do you think's going to happen to an investor? They're going to say, this is bad. We were hoping Nintendo would come out and announce a slew of new first-party amazing games that people would want to buy the console more for, right? Or give us a slew of, titles that are going to make a ton of money. And instead what you basically told us is here's one major game for the rest of the year, and it's not even impressive to anyone who's not a hardcore Smash player, right? So...
You don't have to be a hardcore Smash player, though. You don't. If anything, the casual scene is what continues to drive the pro scene, which is something that places like Activision and Call of Duty never really figured out. Like, a little bit of lore. As it pertains to, I guess, when the Call of Duty competitive scene was at its strongest, some would argue that's Black Ops 2. Some people would say Modern Warfare 3, but I'm gonna say Black Ops 2, to be honest, because I was certainly watching that pretty closely for various reasons. The tactics were really good, to be honest with you. Those are tactics I use online to this day, actually. Anyway, the problem was with Activision. Treyarch didn't mess up with what they did. They try to carve out a niche to try to get themselves into the competitive scene. The problem is that Halo was pretty much non-existent as it pertains to the to that scene. I don't remember Battlefield actually having a competitive scene. They might have. I think Bad Company 2 does. And then you start getting into like CS:GO. And let's be perfectly honest, Call of Duty can never compare to CS:GO. There's way too much money in that. There's way too much money behind it. Activision would never throw the kind of money that CS:GO throws out there on a tournament scene or for a tournament season. It just, they'll never do it. They'll never do it. They're too busy nickeling and diming, kind of like Phil in a lot of ways, to be honest. So, with that being said, keep in mind though too, the only thing that makes Call of Duty great is the casuals, not the pros. To be honest, I don't know too many people who give a shit about pro Call of Duty. It's a joke for the most part. I feel like it's a waste. A lot of people do, to be honest. If nothing else, if you are watching it, you're watching it for names. You're not even watching it for teams anymore. You're watching it for names, and even then, you're just going to probably be disappointed. As it pertains to Smash communities. Not even talking about pro players now. Let's talk about the communities. Are huge. Are effing huge. And whatnot. And if you ever go to a Smash board online, there's a bunch of them. But go to a Smash board. There's a lot of interactivity there. To the point where even a place like SRK, Capcom United, none of those places can really compare to what's going on with the Brawl or Smash community. It's just, they're too intertwined. Now, I'm not saying every community as it pertains to those games aren't toxic or have their assholes or whatever the case may be. Every scene does. But for the most part, they're pretty welcoming. And for the most part, they're all generally casual. They're just people just trying to have a good time. No one's taking the tournament shit that seriously. And if you want to get into competitive tournament play, you still can. And whatnot. And still have a casual feel to it. Hence the reason why the game's constantly growing every year. I shouldn't have had to explain that, but, it's Phil, so I'll take the extra time to do it.
Actively looking at the digital direct, these investors probably looked and said, this is bad news. How are we gonna sell anything? How are we gonna make money on Nintendo when Nintendo has nothing to sell? Right? And so, of course, the stock fell. They said, fuck it, dump it. Enough of this. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Nintendo has a way of kind of making you have hope that they're going to do something different or they're going to do something amazing. And they do have success. When you look over the years, the Wii was a giant success and then a failure. The whole first half of the Wii was an insanely overblown success to the point where Nintendo didn't even know how to handle their success, and then the Wii just died completely. Then they released the Wii U, which was 100% a flop the entire time.
The thing is about the Wii U, I don't agree with him about the Wii in particular. I wouldn't say it flopped at the end. I think that's being a bit dismissive, but it's Phil, so that's what he does. So I don't agree with that very much, but I'll let that slide for now. As it pertains to the Wii U was just ahead of its time, to be honest with you. I own a Wii U, for example. And when you look at the hardware in general, first off, I don't regret it, and I'm not even a Nintendo fanboy. I love Nintendo, but I'm not devoted to Nintendo, if that makes sense. To be honest, because I just like having options. You can never have too many. You can always have plenty. There's, you know what I'm saying? So, something to live by. To a degree, anyway. But, the Wii U was just ahead of its time. And there wasn't enough companies out there that could take advantage of the technology that was provided. That was something that they should have held off for a couple more years, to be honest with you. In my own personal opinion. I mean, granted, it ended up being the prototype for what the Switch is now. But, in all honesty, the Wii U was just ahead of its time. It was too much too soon, and no one really knew how to approach it. Does that make it a complete and total flop? Not necessarily. I mean, it does and it doesn't, I guess. It's just, like I said, it was just before its time. And that's what happens when you try to be innovative. That's what happens when you think outside the box. You got to take risks in life. You know what I'm saying? You keep trying to play it easy and just trying to skim by. That's not living. It's existing. And there's a difference. And Phil never really figured that out, but that's neither here nor there.
But then they release Amiibos. That's a huge success. So now they release the Switch to huge success, and now year 2, the thing's flopping. So you see what I mean? Like, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. This is how it is with Nintendo. And I think maybe some investors are tired of the roller coaster. They just want, when you're an investor, what you want is one of two things. Either you want consistency and increases, like consistent growth, or you want a quick buck. Those are the two things you want. You don't want a gamble. You don't want a stock that go up, down, up, down, up, down at any time. So maybe they're just enough of the roller coaster.
But that's the nature of stock, to be honest. If you want a quick buck, that's high risk, high reward. So your chances of losing the money that you place to get that quick money off that stock is higher than what you gain. But that's subjective, though, depending on the stock. As it pertains for consistent and steady growth, sure. But you have to expect that over time. And Phil, you've never been really smart enough to see that. So there you go on that, too.
They're right. They unbuckled their seatbelts and they jumped the fuck off the coaster, At least, for someone who studied the business world, I would not want to invest in Nintendo. Fuck no. I'm serious. Like, I would not. At this point, I'd be like, hell no. There's way more companies that are going to be way more consistent growth and stuff. I don't want to deal with this shit no more. Especially with the crazy-ass decisions they make and the things they do that gamers don't ask for. I've had enough. I'm tapping out. I'm out of here. So there you go.
I suppose. All right, so that was actually an all right go, to be honest with you. Like I said, asking him for any type of financial advice is kind of out there, at least to me anyway. But I guess beggars can't be choosers. Make of it what you will. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. I'm your host / anchor, GTG. And, I guess what did you guys think about E3? What did you like and what didn't you like? I'd love to hear it. Or at least one of us here would love to hear it. I know I'd love to hear it. And, I'm your host, GTG, and I'm signing off. End of broadcast. The hell is that beeping?